Transitioned over. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. I just thought I would do some. Hello, Musk. If that's your real name. Very proud of my magnets. I'm actually working at a drafting table tonight. And, I'm not entirely certain if I would come on just do some bramble sketches. Just to mess around with some things. I am doing well. Watch is doing great. Uh, he was a little bit bummed out earlier today because it was a lot of rain. And so that meant no WALK this morning, which is always very disturbing. Throws everything off. Right? Alright, put this where you can see what I'm doing. Ah. Yeah, don't you have a monsoon season there? So I know living in when I lived in Hong Kong, we had a kind of a rainy. I don't know exactly what you wouldn't really call it necessarily monsoon season, but it was definitely a rainy season. I think other countries nearby had southern south of there would have those. And when does that end, or how long does that go? Oh, okay. Yeah, I wish I was. I think partially because my university when I was in Hong Kong was kind of following more of the Western calendar, right? I would know some of the Asian holidays, but they didn't really impact our schedule. So like Dragon Boat Festival, and I think there was like Buddha's birthday and the cleaning festival, the grave cleaning holiday were kind of important ones to a certain degree. But yeah, but I think compared to you know other countries, Hong Kong was very Western oriented, so they'd have all the Western holidays too. Even ones like Halloween. Yeah, well, that's probably why they picked it, right? So it follows the weather. I don't know that it makes a difference, out here in the U.S., but well, I use different colors. It's actually a pencil, so I'm not using any red ink right now. I do have some around here though. I've definitely used. I got some, oops, sorry, bright red ink right here. Got some black ink right there. I got other colors here too. There's some, oops, sorry, Van Dyke Brown. Some kind of orange. Tangerine. There you go. But I haven't actually used them yet, so I like using different colors just because it's, I guess fun to use them. Probably. I mean, I haven't done those a lot recently, but for a while I was doing the March of Robots a few years ago. I haven't done it recently. Probably. I've got a bunch of different things I'm kind of working on all at the same time. A big world building project that I kind of want to do to update my portfolio, but maybe try some new things. Like I'm thinking about doing a graphic novel, maybe do like a crowdfunded thing, something like that. Something I've ever done before, so I'm kind of curious of how it might work for me. With some kind of maybe graphic novel slash concept art book. But I like to do it all, so that's the problem I kind of run into where I'll work on something for a bit, and that's usually how people find me. Like I've been doing the Nomad sculpt over the last week or so, or I guess a couple weeks now. Really just trying to finish that up. I've been doing it all online for the most part, or in front of people. Animation, uh, well, for example, that thing that I've been sculpting, it wouldn't animate very well. I think it doesn't have clean geometry, and they are apparently going to integrate integrate it's called quad remesher into Nomad Sculpt, which is basically like Z remesher, but it's for I think it's in Blender actually, something you can put in there. But they're gonna put it in this app, and so doing something like that would be really nice because then you could build out your thing, and then before you do your final details, you do that, or you can project your details onto it. But I don't know that I'll do that. I don't, animation's a whole big animal by itself. So, we'll see. But I've been putting a lot of time into character sketching and especially facial expressions. This is something I hadn't really done a lot for. Yeah, I like the grease pencil stuff in there. Is a lot of fun. I like it for designing and sketching. I mean, I have ZBrush. I still get it for cheap because I'm a teacher. So I get the whole Maxon thing for like $10 a year. I was really disappointed when they got bought out or sold. I guess I'm sure the guy was looking to retire. He's been doing it a long time, so I don't really blame him that much. It's his thing. It's just kind of expensive for the rest of us. I bought ZBrush years ago, but I get it really cheap. So it's for teachers and educators. It's $10 a year for the Maxon library. And so it's just easier to do it that way. So $10 is nothing. People pay more for a fancy coffee these days than that. So um, I get more annoyed by all the AI integration in Photoshop. It's like, good job on killing your market there. Well, I've never been to Vietnam. Did go to Thailand, so it's not exactly that, but it's not too far away, I guess. But there's probably places here that serve something similar. It's funny. We went to a Cuban restaurant last night after interviewing a potential new faculty member for history, and one of our teachers is from Cuba, and so it was kind of interesting to see his response to this Cuban style restaurant in the middle of Virginia. Said the cornbread wasn't exactly quite right for what he likes anyway. Which I thought was interesting. So, what do I know, right? Yep. So I think I get the impression Vietnam is more open than Cuba. Like I don't know that you can really use like Instagram there. Um, 'Cause Vietnam's open for tourism for everybody, and as far as I know. And Vietnam isn't exactly like, say, North Korea. Yeah, well, I think they've opened up a lot there in terms of like, I think the United States has a very specific embargo. Um, and it's easy to argue that like China's done much worse things than Cuba's done, right? Just because it's a much bigger country, and they had Mao. I mean, they had Castro over there, but he wasn't. He didn't have the potential for absolute destruction that you would see in like China with a billion people living there, or whatever the population was when he took over. Yeah, well, the I know it's more open now than it used to be, but they probably block a lot. It's interesting is the American naval base where they keep a lot of prisoners from the Middle East. Guantanamo Bay is on the same island as Cuba. Like it's right there, it's right next to Cuba. Um, yeah, so he apparently he came here when there was a more open visa system. So he can go back there, I guess, but he's an American citizen now, so I guess that somewhat protects him from traveling when he's traveling there, visit family or whatever. Um, yeah, it's a whole other world, and it's you know whatever problem in spite of whatever issues we have here, I'm still rather be I think here than a lot of other places. It's like I know in Hong Kong they recently passed that national security law so that they can go after protesters and all of that. I saw that was that had passed. It was a little hard to read like on the news sites what it actually did, but I think it was the one that where they've been working on for a while. And that's kind of a scary thing. So it's hard to know what to do with that kind of situation. And again, like so, it's not like we don't have our own problems here, but they aren't quite as challenging. Start hating your job, animation. Oh well, yeah. That's true of every artist, right? No, no, I've never met an artist who felt they were paid well enough, or really any person. Um, the trick is finding people who will pay you what you think you want to get paid at the moment. I've known a lot of times with like animation studios or just art studios in general, is often when they kind of get you into a spot, they kind of like you where you're at. And so a lot of times, in order to progress in your animation career, you have to go to another studio um, to take on new roles. And it's just kind of one of those things because they like what you if they like what you're doing, they want to keep you where you're at, which means you often get kind of stuck doing the same thing. Um, yeah, I mean, depends on what's how life's a lot cheaper there, though I would guess. Yeah, so you might have to start thinking about working for other people. If you can get freelance online, you can probably make a lot more, right? So if you were to like be able to get in contact with European or Western American companies, you might be able to, with the right portfolio, make a lot more. But yeah, it's one of the reasons why like a lot of Western companies like doing their work out where you're at. It makes it a lot cheaper for them. But yeah, that's why I say you have to take that risk sometimes. Maybe quit and then go do it. So you're not, yeah, 'cause a lot of companies, they don't want you working for other companies when you're not, you know, so you're not competing with them actively. So I understand that. Even if it's unless you're working in a different market, like say you're animation, but then you do children's books or something like that, then they're more okay with it if it's in a different area. Well, it's like me, I teach at university, but they would probably not like it if I were teaching at other universities while I'm working for them. That would be that's a big bad thing. I never want to do that because they won't like it. Even if I could make more money that way, but I could teach privately. Ah, yeah, so it might be worth applying to other jobs, see if you can get something else. I don't know how many opportunities are there where you're at. How many studios are there? Or maybe you could get a more advanced position like being a manager or a director or an art director, creative director, those kinds of things. That's often where people have to go if they want to make a lot more money. It's not as much fun because you don't get to do as much art, but sometimes that's what's necessary. Yeah, I imagine it's not that big of a country, so I don't imagine there's a lot of opportunity there for different companies. And sometimes just having another opportunity can get you a pay raise. So if someone else makes you an offer, you can come back to your company and say, "Hey, I've been talking to these people, and this company's offering me this much money." or you haven't, maybe not tell them what company it is, but you could, tell them you've got an offer to do something else, and they may offer you the same or more to stay. So, other things to think about. But Saturday here in Virginia. Oh, there are faux restaurants here. I don't know how good they are, but like the Cuban places, it's hard to say how so like you might react. Like there's a lot of bubble tea places now here, so that's gotten very popular. Like everybody's there's beans in your tea. I don't know what the excitement is. Yeah, seems like it's everywhere. Um, I mean, I had it in Hong Kong a few times, or just black coffee or black tea. No sugar added. Yeah. Some people, there's people get accustomed to a flavor, and so when that happens, they don't really notice, the strength of the flavor. So like like a lot of Americans eat a lot of sugar, but most of them don't even notice the sugar flavor anymore. Um, so when I'm being good about what I eat, the sugar flavor becomes very very strong. So I've been pretty good about it lately. I had a little bit last night in the Cuban restaurant, and it was definitely good. The sugar flavor was just really really strong in the dessert they got. I only had one bite. I was trying to stay good, but um, so you know, so a lot of times they'll like it just because they've grown up drinking it or eating something, and it's like there's a popular soda in the United States, root beer, and it's a popular soda, but it's thank you for sharing. But it's really popular here. But your average, I think Asian or European, they won't like it at all because it tastes like medicine to them. It tastes like a cough medicine, I guess. And so they don't like it at all, which is funny. Um, just talking about foods and what people like. Yeah, it's root beer. Well, it tastes to them like a kind of medicine. I've never had the medicine. It's like a cough medicine or something. Root beer is it's just a soda drink. There's no actual alcohol in it. It's just called that. It's I forget the root that it's based on for the flavor. We have a whole restaurant chain that's based on it here. A&W, making root beer floats where you put ice cream and soda. It's not as popular as it used to be, the restaurant, but still around, I think. Um, yeah, usually Asians and Europeans don't like it at all, and I like. I think it tastes good. We have candies and other things that are based off of it, but yeah, it's definitely a very American food that nobody else likes. Yeah, probably more unique than hamburgers or Philly cheese sandwiches, just because it's pretty universal here. People mostly like it. Um, well, the answer is yes. I guess to both of those. So if you saw my recent Xterra post, I was over in Utah for part of spring break. Um, so I did that little trip out there, to some painting, visited family. So where I started the owl that I've been doing, but I'm living in Virginia where I'm teaching now. So I don't know if you talked to you about that, but it's a new position. It's very interesting. It's uh, one of those rare. Well, you can get a minivan and turn that into one. People make, SUV, RVs out of lots of things now, right? Not just vans, but minivans and small SUVs like mine. Make great ones. Mine just fits me and the dog. But well, I can shower inside of mine. Um, I have a shower setup. You can do there's different ways of doing showers. I've seen other people do showers inside of minivans. You could go on YouTube and look around. Yeah, I can shower inside of mine or outside. So I have it set up to work that way. Yeah, I almost never eat breakfast, but it's late here. It's 9 o'clock, so I'm probably not going to stay on too much longer. But have a good night. Good. You've been everybody popping in and out. What we got in here tonight? Oops, all right. Hello. Oh, sorry. Where's that window at? Good evening. to bang my head on the camera. Good evening, everybody. Popping in and out. everybody. Brush a little try here. Good. Everybody popping in? Just doing some doodling tonight. As one should on a Saturday. I'm gonna do more of this, I think. It's a good way to touch off the week. Hello. Good. Evening, everybody popping in. Good evening. Good evening. Oh, thank you, Bill. Take over there on YouTube. I really need to upgrade to a 4K camera. This one only maxes out at what is it, 1080p or whatever. But hopefully it reads okay from above. Let's do a little doodle page here before I call it a day. I never know, right? You don't know English? What is your native language? What is your language? Because oh, Portuguese. No falo português. Because if you speak some Russian or Lithuanian or some are willing to try to understand my Cantonese, then I can try those. But galima šnekėti lietuviškai, можем говорить по-русски. Uh, 廣東話識講少少啊。But yeah, no further Portuguese. And I only speak Sesame Street Spanish. ¿Dónde está el baño? Very important expression to know, right? Very important words. Yeah. But no hablo español. Would be interested to do like a intensive Spanish course sometime, but maybe in the future. Yeah, English is very difficult. Um, we have many words. So English has, I think, the most words compared to every other language by a lot. Because we take many words into our language. So there are many words. But and then our grammar is a mess because it comes from multiple languages, especially our tenses and conditionals, and then many idioms and expressions. So I think it's a very poor choice for the international language. I would pick Italian for international language because it's very simple, as far as I remember, compared to, especially compared to English. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge. So anyone that learns to speak English pretty well, it's very impressive because it is very difficult. Um, oh, careful. Good morning, Annette. I'm suddenly getting people watching over on the YouTube side. Interesting. It's usually very quiet over there. I think people like to see the drawing. I've been doing a lot on my iPad lately, so I think people are a lot less interested in that. But it's something I wanted to practice more, so maybe use it for my university students sometime. What is it? Well, I'm working on a world building project, so I'm kind of creating a culture and nature and animals and people and technology for updating my portfolio as a concept artist. I'm using it to upgrade or update some skills that I think I could be better at, especially character design and narrative pictures, so storytelling pictures. So I've come up with this planet I'm calling Bramble, and a bramble is a kind of bunch of plants that are making a big mess together, or a tangle. Um, and so the idea is it's a planet that looks like a giant plant, and humans colonize it, live on it, and within this planet there lies ancient secrets that the colonists don't know anything about. And they don't find out about for a long time. So I'm thinking about doing a comic book about it. Oh, thank you, Super Titus. Wow, suddenly getting viewers. It's almost time to go to bed. Not that I have to go to bed, but my dog will get tired. He's under the computer. So I've been doing a lot of drawings and research and study into this. Um, so this is kind of a page that's just some I call doodles. So simple drawings. They don't really serve a strong purpose, but it is just for me to think about what I am doing. So I've slowed down how I speak to a little bit. And I've been drawing for a very long time, so I am not very young. I'm 45, and so but I've been drawing since I was very small. But yeah, I started taking it more seriously in high school, and I have a university degree for illustration. and a master's. And then I teach at a I teach at a university, mostly illustration and drawing and painting. Face is a little bit of a mess. It's a very difficult brush to work with sometimes. My fault, not the brush's fault. Never blame your tools because I picked it up, right? Where did I learn to draw like that? Well, I've been studying art for a very, very long time. Well, it feels like a long time. So I went illustration for my bachelor's. But I studied it in New York City, doing working with some really amazing artists and painters, and then I've taught many things too. And so in the process of teaching a lot, I've had to learn a lot too. And so that's an important point, is I like to improve my skills as I teach so that I can bring things to my students. So drawing like this, I do a lot of copies. So I like to look at art that I like a lot and that inspires me. And then I like to copy it, so it helps me study. So I look a lot at that kind of thing. So that's I think the most important thing to do when you're trying to improve your skills or study art is I think copies are really, really important. And not just to do one artist that you like a lot, but to do many artists who are very different from each other and see what you can adopt from them. Actually, one of my favorite artists is a Brazilian artist, Bill, if you were still there. A guy named Greg Tocini. And I've been looking at his work a lot recently. He's a very good comic artist. Hello, Abhigyan Katnala. Um, Something I've been looking at Greg Tocini's work a lot. But I also really like the work of Sean Gordon Murphy. I really like his drawing style and his inking is very beautiful. So I've been looking at a lot of their work. So there's some. But I'm using a different kind of tool too. So I'm using one of these very, very cheap brushes. Yeah, I think yeah. Oh, I assumed you were Brazilian because you said you spoke Portuguese, and it's a little bit late in Portugal. So um, yeah, if you look up Greg Tocini, he's really amazing. He did a book called Low, Low, with a guy named Rick Remender. He also did a book called Last Days of American Crime, which is about these criminals doing the last crime that they can do because they're about to make it impossible for anyone to do new crimes in the story in America. Oh, well, thank you. Even though no falo português. Well, if Greg Tocini loves my work, then I will be very excited. But I don't draw like him at all, I think. But I really like how he draws. It's very beautiful. Well, thank you. Yeah, you should look up Greg Tocini, though. He's definitely a favorite of mine. If you don't know his work, he does a lot with an American author named Rick Remender. Dimas Novica. Oh, okay. Well, if you like comics, yeah, you should definitely look up look into Mr. Tocini. I thought he was Italian because of his last name, but I guess he's Brazilian. And I like a lot of the '90s comic book artists like Mark Silvestri or Jim Lee or um, Todd McFarlane, even Rob Liefeld. I only speak it well enough to say I do not speak it. Uh, I once was in college and I had roommates that were studying English in the summer, and they were from Brazil and did not speak any English. So I know to say "Como vai?" and "No falo português." So, a time ago. Um, yeah, they do not speak any English. You know, they're there to study, so it's fine. But so is everybody here Portuguese now or Brazilian? Well, thank you, Archie Harry Kreeranix. Is that a video game name? Yeah. See what we can do. And part of what I'm trying to do here is practice my inking technique. Because I feel like I can be a lot better at that. So not only do I get to practice the portfolio project a bit, but I get to practice the inking too. So, you know, Samir, huh? Are you all friends? Ah, I wondered because yeah, suddenly many Brazilians are in my chat. Do all of you like to do art? Ah, that's an interesting profession. Many changes happening right now, right? Many controversies, especially with the AI stuff, which I do not like at all. I think it's be very harmful for someone who wants to develop their imagination. Um, yeah, I teach drawing. I taught oil, painting and design and perspective and many things over the years. But so that's what I do most of the time. But I also do concept art for video games sometimes. Maybe I'll do some of that, start doing that again soon. Though I'd like to work on this project, I think would be more fun. Which I imagine as a science fiction horror story. Uh, okay. Live in Brazil. Yeah, I'm sorry, I wish I spoke Portuguese, but can only speak so many languages without spending all of my time learning them. There are too many. Good evening, everybody. Pop it in and out. Oops, sorry about that. I think it's really helpful to do these kind of doodle pages where you're not really too focused on making good art. You're just looking at seeing what happens. And that's what I'm doing here. I mean, hopefully it looks nice when it's done, but I am not too focused on that. That's a good question. I think digital is always easier, but I enjoy, uh, drawing with real things more. But I can draw digitally very easily. I've been doing it for a very, very long time. I really like using the iPad. I like using my computer. I like using the tools that I'm using right now. But I think I do prefer this kind of drawing more, but I think it's definitely harder just because you can't undo anything. Takes a lot more practice. Like now, especially in digital programs, you have stabilization tools, so tools that make your lines smoother. And that makes your drawings look a lot nicer, usually. But which one is harder for you? Like my students, they all love to use their iPads. It's funny because many of them don't even know how to use Photoshop very well, even though they are, 1 year or 2 years away from graduating from university, because they use their iPads all the time. Oh, I can read. It's I think the internet got slow. The internet was slow for a moment. I can see all the typing though, all the chat. And my plant lights turned off. Sounds like I can hear. Can you hear my dog snoring? He thinks my live streams are boring. That it's very silly for this human to be talking to no one. Corners years you draw? Don't understand. Like how many years? Since I was very small. So someone was asking before. I am um, 45 years old. I was born in 1978. And I have been drawing since I was very small. So my mother, encouraged me to do art and draw, and she liked to do crafts. So like making blankets and house things, I guess. So I don't remember when I first started to do art. I did start to take it seriously in high school and practice a lot. I would draw from magazines, like animals and places. I would practice different techniques. But I started to take it seriously in high school. And sometimes I still do. Well, it's a good time to start, right? The best time to start was many years ago, and the second best time to start is now. So that's a good place to be, right? And I'm still learning things, so it is a very long. You never know everything you need to know, I think. And you always need to know more than you need to know. Is the beautiful problem we have with art. Makes it so interesting, is there's always something new to do something new to learn, and something new to explore. Which I like. Good evening over there on Instagram side. Hmm. All right. I think I'm there and go to bed so I can do this tomorrow. Sometime. I don't know exactly what time, but I've been here for 2 hours drawing, so I think that's good for now. So thank you to everybody that came in. See you next time.